WNDS Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Oh, look at this. Look at that. He got it. Spread eagle for a spare.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is sponsored in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Looks good. Looks good. That's the goal. It's the goal.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Candlepin Stars and Strikes here on the Winds of New England. I'm Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy. So glad you could be with us as we begin another four-week series here on the program. In fact, this one's somewhat significant because this is our last four-week series of the regular season before we move into the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions.
That's right. One spot left, and one of these five bowlers in this ladder will be that final qualifier. And we've got a giant killer here in the crowd. First one to make, or the only one not to make the show before. And the rest of them are all veterans.
All right, and of course we'll be introducing you to the rest of the names that are in this series so that you'll be able to see what your favorites are doing in the weeks ahead. But first of all, let's meet our two bowlers for this show. First of all, our number 5 seed from Plastow, New Hampshire, Dave Richards.
Okay, Dave comes in averaging 127, high single of 191, his roll-off score 652.
And Dave Richards also, by the way, is a previous participant in the Tournament of Champions. He was in the 1992 event in singles competition, so he is going to try and run up from the bottom to get there again. But the guy who'll try to stop him today is a first-time visitor here to Stars and Strikes from Lowell, Massachusetts, John Plante.
That's right, John trying to make a name for himself. 118 is his average, 185 for high single. His roll-off score 659.
All right, of course, now we have fifth-place prize money going to the runner-up today, $100. The winner, of course, moves on to week 2 to try and run up from the bottom and get into the Tournament of Champions. And it's been done a couple of times in doubles. It's been a while since we've seen it happen in singles, but we'll be watching, of course, both of these guys to see if they can do that. Now, in addition to all of that today, and we also have our bonus ball contest, by the way, at the end of the hour, which is all the way up to $180. But right after we take this time out, we also have another little surprise for you, and that is finally, we're going to be announcing the results of the 3-string match that Dan and I bowled to benefit the Salem Boys and Girls Clubs, and we'll be giving you the total amount that was raised. It was a very nice total amount, and we appreciate all of your support. But we will show you the scores that Dan and I had right after we take this time out. So don't go away. Lots coming up. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back here to Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We're at Park Place Lanes in Windham, New Hampshire, and again, we're so happy you could join us. Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy, and before we get to the bowling, we want to bring everyone up to date.
Well, before we go to the scoreboard, I just want everyone to understand that the beginning of a race is not anywhere near as important as the end of the race. Now, go ahead, say what you were going to say.
Okay, well, you can probably already guess what the beginning of this 3-string match was already like. Dan and I, of course, rolled 3 strings to benefit the Salem Boys and Girls Clubs. We had been reminding you about it some weeks back, all part of a terrific fundraising effort here on an annual basis here at Park Place Lanes. And that rationalization you just heard from Dan Murphy will lead us right into the first part of the match on the scoreboard. So here's what happened in the first 5 boxes of our 3-string match, and as you can tell, I should have, if you're familiar with roller derby at all, what I should have done at this point is cut off the jam, and then it would have been it. That would have been over. But we decided to finish the 3 games, and I eventually did blow that 14-pin lead, and it didn't take very long either. And actually, the final score for the 3 games, Dan rolled a 129, a 118, and a 145 for a 392. And I rolled a 114, 106, and 124 for a 3-game total of 344. But there is one thing I'd like to mention, and that is that in the total number of strikes for the match, that was the one area where I managed to beat you. I had, if you saw on the computer there, I started with a strike. In the whole match, I had 2 strikes. Dan only had 1, and that is my moral victory right there.
Well, okay. I concede.
Although there is one other thing, a very important element that we should mention too, and that is that Dan also raised more money than I did by about $10. It was very close, but the important thing is that the total amount of money raised in this fundraising effort for the Salem Boys and Girls Clubs was just over $12,000, and so we want to thank everyone who was involved, and that makes the 9-year total for this event over $110,000. So certainly congratulations to everybody who was involved. Thanks to all of you who wrote in. And, well, thanks to you, Dan, for being part of this. We appreciate it. It's it's kind of a no-win situation for you because you know you're going to get abuse on the air from me regardless of how it turns out. So we appreciate it. And now let's get to the business at hand, which is the bowlers on this particular series. And here they are. You've already met John Plante and Dave Richards. They'll be battling it out today in week 1. Larry Valcourt will be here next week. Jack Stanek is our number 2 seed back after a time away. And Dan Broder is our number 1 seed for this series. So we're about ready to go, and Dave Richards will start the match. But once again, a lot of fun, that 3-string match. The best part of it, actually, was the trash talking, I thought.
That's right.
We were both pretty good at that. What disturbs me is that, I mean, I don't expect to beat you at bowling because, after all, you're a pro-level bowler and all of that. What disturbs me is I still can't beat you at golf. That's what's driving me nuts.
Well, I don't know why, because my score is about the same in both sports.
But we had some fun.
Yes, we did.
And we certainly also want to thank all of you who were continuously phoning in and writing in and asking, because we got a lot of responses to, hey, how'd the match come out and all that, so we appreciate it. Oh, Dave Richards. Dave Richards with a strike on spare to start, and he puts the heat on immediately on this man, John Plante, making his very first appearance with us on Stars and Strikes from Lowell, Mass. John on lane 32 to begin, and talking with John before the show began. Oh, look out. Missed the head pin, and he's got it left for a spare. Talking with John before the show, he'd said he'd been trying to get on the show for about 4 or 5 years. Finally making it, and there you go, a spare in box number 1. Well, John might have been feeling the nerves a little bit, perhaps, at the start of the match, but that may take him away.
That will help.
Got a nice break on the first ball and rolls in the mark.
And a nice 7-drop on the spare. Well, keep the streak alive. We've had marks all the way through at the start of this. He'd have to make the 2, 4, and 7 with a piece of wood. 2, 4, and 10, I should say, with a piece of wood. Oh, that close.
Very close.
Ball almost stayed alive to knock down the 10-pin.
And have to have Cindy Sissom go down and remove a loose ball in the channel right next to the 10-pin before John shoots at it.
Can't really see it on that angle, but it's there.
The final roll-off, by the way, for this series was, where was it held again?
Geez, let me think. Boutwell's Bowling Center. Great place.
That's Dan's place, of course, and we thanks to Dan and also to Steve Birch and the gang, everybody up there, for helping us out with the roll-off.
And a 10 box. Not really the conventional way of making that 10 pin, but it worked for John. 27 now through 2. Dave Richards 30, as you can see, with a strike working.
Dave right through the heart that time.
Tried to rock the 6-pin down and hopefully would take the 3, but through the middle. He may try the 3 and 6 in the wood. That's what he's doing.
Not quite enough. Dave was with us in singles competition back in January and had the misfortune of running into John Patorsky.
Boy, John bowled great that series.
Dave actually came in as the number 5 seed in that series as well. Almost another strike. He came in as the number 5 seed and knocked off Glenn Shattuck. And then the next week ran into John Patorsky, and Dave threw a 376, but it wasn't good enough. John Patorsky threw a 428.
Well, early in this match, Cindy's getting a workout. Let's go down and check a piece of wood now, and whether it's in play or not. I would think it would be out, and it is.
John Patorsky, by the way, stands right now as the number 4 seed among the guys who've already qualified for the Tournament of Champions. Of course, there's still one spot open, and we will show you the list of the guys who've already made it a little bit later on in the hour as Dave records his 3rd spare in 4 boxes, a 3rd mark in 4 boxes. John Plante on the head pin.
4-7-8, the triangle in the left-hand corner.
No. Of the 5 guys who've already qualified, Dan, talk about this, the #1 seedings a lot for bowlers that come in. For instance, in this particular series, as you saw a minute ago, our #1 seed is Dan Broder, but the #1 seed is by no means a guarantee to get into the Tournament of Champions, even though you only have to win 1 match. Of the 5 guys who've already qualified for the Tournament of Champions, only 2 of them were #1 seeds.
A lot of times you find a bowler lower in the seeding is catches fire, wins a couple matches, gets a lot of confidence, and away they go. But I'd still like to be the #1 seed. Worried about 1 match. Especially with the talent that we have coming on. It's pretty tough to run the table.
The early lead for Dave Richards. He steps up working on a mark here in the 4th.
Just elaborating on that fact, if John Plante was to do that, boy, what a story that would be. First time on.
Right. Well, we have among the 5 guys who have qualified so far, we have 2 #3 seeds. Ooh, wow. But nobody below #3. Peter Flynn and John Patorsky both qualified as #3 seeds.
Dave looks real sharp.
Wow.
That's 2 or 3 cut shots that he almost made. I know if I'm bowling and I'm just missing those cut shots, I'm cutting the object pin over, then you got to feel good about the way you're bowling. Even though you're not making the shot, you're coming very close.
2 open frames there for Dave. Has the 18-pin lead here early. John Plante from Lowell. And there is the half Worcester. John works for Capital Credit Corporation. One thing that's got to be making John feel a little bit more comfortable today, I would imagine, is that Park Place lanes, his home lanes.
It always helps.
The 8 box.
Although a lot of times, you know, you're bowling in your home lanes, people expect a little more out of you than what you can deliver a lot of times. Sometimes it's better off going to another house. But
Well, solid 9 drop, leaving the 8-pin, and let's see what the wood does.
this wood is going to be real difficult to get the 9-pin. 3 pieces, but the one in the furthest in the back is angled away from the 8-pin. I should say the 8. There you go.
Not much he could do.
I think you have to decide with yourself which one you're going to play, and if you do hit it where you want to, what's the reaction of the wood going to be? And I think if you thought about that, you might have went to the left and have it snap off the sidewall. Of course, I know I would have done it now after it's pretty easy back here.
Dave Richards. Boy, that looked like a pretty good ball.
Now here's another cut shot, meaning he tried to negotiate that wood to stay on the plate and didn't do it. The 5-7, you're going to try to cut the 5-pin over. And again, fairly close. $10, 92 now through 7. And a 19-pin advantage.
The Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions that we'll be talking a lot about as we wind through this series. The Tournament of Champions begins 4 weeks from today, Sunday, April the 24th. Of course, Saturday, April the 23rd, the doubles Tournament of Champions will begin. Each event will run for 5 weeks with added prize money to determine our season champion. And 2 more open boxes for Dave Richards. So another opportunity here for John Plante.
He opened with a mark, and he hasn't had one since. That time off target to the right. better there. Everything but the 4.
And the 10.
Still 19 pins.
Oh, I should mention, too, in the interest of disclosure, since I talked about that whole strike thing in the Boys and Girls Club match that you and I rolled, that even though I edged you out in strikes, you were significantly ahead in marks, 15 to 10.
Why are you being nice all of a sudden?
I'm hoping this will translate to you being nice on the golf course.
Oh,
That's why.
I was impressed with your 344.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I don't know if those of you who would remember the match that we had that was on the air.
On the air, right.
About 9 years ago or so. We told the story on the air at that particular time that when we were getting ready to tape that show, the very first ball that Dan ever saw me throw, ever, was a strike. And as you noticed on that computer shot that we showed, I started this match with a strike, too.
And you were only 335, I think, in that match 10 years ago. So in 10 years, you've gained 9 pins.
No, actually, you know, Dan, the funny thing is, I was 351 in that match. I went back and looked it up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were getting better, so you're not.
But you know what the difference was? I was 351, but you were like 430 something.
So we're both backing up.
So I figure another 20 years I'll have you.
1, the 3, and the 7 for Dave Richards. And he has gone 5 boxes now without a mark. And, ooh, not quite with the 7.
$121 for Dave Richards.
Let's see that piece of wood, or actually is the 3-pin right there in front of the 7.
Well, John Plante had that mark in the first, but he's still looking for another one. Now he'll shoot at the 310.
Really no wood to help him, so he's either going to be right or left of the 3-pin, have the 3-pin or the ball take the 10.
Let's see, no.
Close. Dave's given him an opportunity to get right back in this, even though he's not out of it. He's only down by 19. Both bowlers, as you can see, the last half of this game have not marked at all. And John, since the first box.
There's the strike in the 10th. That'll help. His first strike is a big one.
2 more like that and take the lead.
That's right, by 1. Boy, that looked pretty good at the start, but it was a little full heading in.
Still, if that 2-pin had fallen backwards with the wood angled, he still might have gotten a strike.
This is the same leave that John had earlier for a spare opportunity. The wood is a little more favorable this time. Wow. Almost. It'll be a 9-fill, a 111, and a 10-pin lead for Dave Richards after 1. 121 to 111. Game 2 coming up in a minute. Don't go away. $180 in the bonus ball contest. That comes up at the end of the hour. You can't win if we don't have your postcards, so please send them in. Be sure they're regular-sized postcards only, and be sure to include your name, your full address, and the number from 1 to 10, the number that you think will drop on the bonus ball when it's rolled by our winning bowler each week, and then mail it on in to Park Place Lanes, Route 28, Windham, New Hampshire, 03087. And good luck. It's about the largest jackpot we've had in a number of years, so perhaps we'll get a winner today. Who knows? John Plante starts game 2 with a strike, the same way he finished game 1.
Those last few pins came forward. Watch this. On the 2 and, well, it's actually the 5 and the 2 pins. It looks like a double. Double, all right, but it's the 7 and 9.
Well, let's see. Will that wood help?
I think if he goes low towards the 7 pin, Clips the wood. He's got a shot at it. No, it's too high. But a good 9 fill on the strike.
In the 9 box. Now Dave Richards, who had 3 marks in the first 4 boxes of game 1. And then silent movies after that.
7 and 10. Double piece of wood in front of the 10.
Trying to fly it over, and it doesn't quite make it.
And it's a 9, and what do you know? It's all even. Match is dead even right now.
Dave again through the center a bit.
3, 6, 10 on the right, 4, 7 on the left. Piece of wood behind the 3, 6, and 10. And now it is coming to rest against the 6.
Boy, again, another great effort. You said earlier, Dan, Dave is just missing on a lot of these.
I think it's just a matter of time. He throws a big one now. Dave is hoping it's not the 4th game. Off target left that time, but just the 1, 3, and 6 for John Plante. Chance for another mark.
And a little...
Oh, but he'll get it.
Well, he hit the object pin. After that, need a little help.
Playing it the tough way. John's shaking his head a little bit, but he'll take it.
Just touches the head pin, and you see the 6 pin fly out of there, and finally comes forward for the 3, and, well, spread eagle plus the 5. And this will go if you hit the 3, 6 or the 2, 4 with the 5 pin in there. They want to, no, missing the object, but they don't want to go left or right with the 5 pin. Helps everything stay in play a lot longer. And disappointing 6, so that negates the spare. Only 19 pins in those 2 frames. Dave Richards now for his 3rd and 4th, and he has a long drought going here without a mark. He's going to make one of these cut shots because he's had so many to shoot at.
How about this? The 2, 9, and 10.
You just got to cut the 2 on the left-hand side, but if he catches a piece of that wood, that could help too.
Wow.
I tell you. Wasn't for bad luck, Dave. I have no luck at all.
One of our participating sponsors for this series on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, our friends at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Right on Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire. Come to Salem and save. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Dave gets a break on the 10 pin this time.
Finally kicks a pin out, so he has a legitimate spare leave in 2, 4, 7. No wood. No. This time sliding by the object pin. So he'll be open again.
And we will take a break. That pin right there gives Dave Richards a 1-pin lead in this match at just about the halfway point. Good one going here. We'll be back in a minute.
Here are the winning numbers from last night's Tri-State Megabucks drawing.
John Plante.
Oh,
And
boy.
he chops out the 1, 8, 9 again. Wow. Twice in a row on lane 32.
Now, Dave Richards, if you go back, and the only reason I remember this is because he bowled one against one of the bowlers representing Botwell's Bowling Center, and that's Glenn Shattuck. he struggled that match until the final game, I believe, and finally was able to put 3 or 4 marks in a row. Or type that up in the computer, and we can give you that information. Well, he opened with 3 the last game. Yeah. Other than that, he really struggled the whole match. The score there was 354 to Glenn Shattuck's 314. Much the same as Dave is doing today. John Plante, first time with us.
Couple of 10 boxes for John.
Not leaving anything standing, but you'd want to build a lead when a fellow like Dave Richards is not marking. Off target, maybe that's the way to do it, Dave. You'd be hitting the head pin too much. 6-10, but that piece of wood is way out in front of the 6 and 10. You got to be careful. Oh, he's too high. Had the right idea. Had to be a little high in it to turn it, but not quite that high. Capped it when ball went one way and the pin went the other, and just a 9. You lose another one in count, so it's 2-pin advantage now. Oh no, actually it's back to even again.
Dave just barely got by the head pin that time.
Ball's really spinning. He wants that ball to break from right to left, and he's got a different angle, or not the correct angle, or he's throwing a little more speed and the ball is straightening out on him.
An 8 box, and John Plante now has the lead in this thing by 2. Each bowler, I was going to say each bowler with 4 marks, but actually John has 4. Dave has 3.
And let's see. He may have another one.
A rocking 6-pin.
Can't really tell. I don't think that wood is frozen, so it's not going to help him. It's going to have to be on the 6-pin clean.
Nope. Not to be.
Both bowlers giving the others, their opponent, a real chance here. Both bowlers the opportunity to draw out and get a comfortable lead, but neither of them seem to want to do it right now. Maybe they're looking forward to next week. I wouldn't be. Larry Valcourt's coming in.
Big pocket hit that time for John, and again, it's a 9-pin drop.
Boy, how many times does that happen? You missed a single, you know the next ball is going to be 8, 9, or a strike. This time he's got a nice little guide to the 7-pin.
And uses it for the spare. Mark number 5 for John Plante. And now Dave Richards, already trailing, facing a mark and trying to dig himself out of this long drought. He's in without a mark, and look at that.
5 and 7. Don't think he can play the wood to the far right. I think he's going to try to cut the 5-pin over. Pull that ball to the left.
Dave from Plastow, New Hampshire, lives there with his wife Beth. Dave works at the distribution center for MVP Sports, and he also does a lot of his bowling here at Park Place, along with Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill.
Where Dave was coming close to those cut shots before, he is not right now. Pressing a little bit, trying to make some adjustments, but 4 horsemen right plus the 7-pin. No wood to help. Oh,
not quite.
My.
Leaves the 10-pin this time.
He's yet to throw a mark in the second game.
And the 10. So a chance for John Plante now to build on his lead.
In fact, he hasn't thrown a mark since the 4th frame of the first game. Got 14 boxes without a mark.
And that'll be a 7 fill for John.
And the 3, 6, and 4 pins. 3, 4, 6. Of course, the 3 and 6 being together on the right.
No. .102 now through 9, and he increases the lead to double figures, that being 10 now. And John with another split. Same one.
Same one. It was fairly close the last time on lane 32. The box previous box. Let's see if he can just move a little more to the left. No, this time he's going to come off the wall. Wasn't going to split it, but he was heavy on the 3-pin. 3 and 6 came off the wall for the spare. There you see the replay.
So again, second game in a row, John marks in the 10th. And it'll be a 7 fill, a 119, and a 2-game total of 230 for John Plante. And that'll be enough for the lead unless Dave Richards throws 2 marks here in the last 2.
He has a spare lead, but not an easy one because of the 9-pin in the back. 3, 6, 9, and 10. He's got a piece of wood to the left that may keep some pins in play for him.
Wow.
Wow. Well, you know, if you miss the 3-pin, you don't have a shot at the spare. But I figure if you hit the 3-pin, you're going to get a few of them.
Dave Richards, the 5th and final qualifier for this series with a roll-off score of 652. Don Richmond was the alternate at 651, coming in 6th place. Well, this is what Dave faces here in the 10th to try and avoid a game without a mark.
He's going to try to catch pieces of the wood in the 2-pin. Oh, wow, boy. I tell you now, it's going to look a 90 game. It's going to be a 93 or 94, but that's no indication of how well he's bowling right now.
94 it is. A 2-game total, 215. So it is a 15-pin lead for John Plante. 1 game to go here on Stars and Strikes. We'll be back in a minute. Well, 5 bowlers are already in to the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, and here they are from top to bottom. Of course, this order could change slightly when the 6th and final qualifier gets into the field, but we've already had 3 400 series to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. Joe Ashline, the #1 seed, at 441. So that's the score that the guys in this series will be shooting at if they want to try and take over that #1 spot. Then you see the rest of them: Peter Flynn, Paul Berger, John Patorsky, and Mark Gregory. So we're going to have 1 more on that list, and 4 weeks from today, the Tournament of Champions will begin here on the Winds of New England. Mentioned Dave Richards was in the Tournament of Champions 2 years ago and came in as the #2 seed, and what a match he rolled against Mike Morgan, the eventual winner that year, 1992. Again, Dave just missing. Dave went into the 3rd game of that match trailing by 41 pins and nearly came all the way back. He lost by 9, 404 to 395. Right now, he is just trying to figure out what went wrong after the first 4 boxes of the match when he had 3 marks. He hasn't had any since. There's a break for him.
They're fighting to stand up, which is a bad
right.
sign.
That's right.
7-pin, piece of wood.
You may see a wild celebration if Dave is able to convert this. He's waiting to make sure all the wood settles. Still has a clear path. Watch out. Oh, he got it. Dave will take it.
First mark in 17 boxes. Not like Dave Richards.
John Plante now with the lead.
Well, he gets a break, kicking out the 6 and the 10. Just the 4-7 left.
For the spare? No, just missed it.
I'll tell you, with a bowler like Dave Richards, the veteran he is, you're going to need those going down the stretch. 15 pins is not enough. And matching 10 boxes, now he's faced with the spare.
We hope you remember to join us yesterday for Stars and Strikes doubles as we began our new format, Candlepin Skins. be having some fun with that over the next few weeks. So if you missed it yesterday, be sure and tune in this coming Saturday at 12 noon. Candlepin Skins, something a little different on Stars and Strikes doubles. And then, of course, next Sunday at noon, we'll be back here for week 2 of the singles competition. And Dave Richards with an immediate chance to get this lead down into single numbers.
Gain 2 on count, so the lead now is 13 minus this ball. Goes through the middle, 5, so the lead is 8. If my math is correct, and it's been subject to review before.
Dave will take the 9. Well, this is an interesting situation for Dave Richards, Dan, because he went all that time without marking yet. This match is up for grabs. So you have to try and collect yourself and move on.
Dave says, move on to what? Now I'm looking at the 8-10. Piece of wood, looking at him, another piece of wood next to the 8. Let's see what happens. Look at this. Look at this. Oh!
He just barely touched both pins. But it's enough for the spare, and Dave glares down at the deck.
Just cut enough that front one. Creates some sidewall action, tips the 8-pin, and finally the 10. Might be enough to put a spark up there. Well, John Plante has the 1-3-6. No. 2 chances the last 2 frames, or 2 out of 3 frames for John, and was not able to convert for a spare. And now he'll be facing another mark by Dave Richards.
Don't forget, $180 in our bonus ball contest coming up in just a few minutes.
Go, John.
Well, it's the 3-6 on the right, the 4-7 over on the left, and the wood undetermined right now.
Well, you got to concentrate on the 3-pin, no question about that. Inside or out, it's got a chance. Oh, he's flush on the 3-pin.
Well, this thing appears that it is going to go right down to the final box. Don't go away. We'll have the rest of our match here on Stars and Strikes in a minute. Dave Richards is working on a spare left over from the 4th box here in the 3rd and final game, and
needs 7 on it to tie. Oh boy,
gets 2. Half Worcester.
That's one of those, you make a fantastic spare as he did in the 4th. I don't know, maybe we should change the scoring, you know, degree of difficulty, and give him a few extra pins plus what he gets on the next ball.
Well, now it's a full Worcester.
And a pretty good out. Looks like he may get 8.
9, maybe? No, it'll be 8.
But just 20 pins in those 2 frames. The spare really didn't help him. I dare say that John Plante is going to need another mark or 2 to win this match. 4 horsemen left, plus the 10-pin. Piece of wood that he'll try to snap. Yes, he did, but didn't catch any of the head pin. You can see a little smirk on his face there. He knows that he's having a tough time right now. But like you said, Doug, he's still in the match. That's the amazing thing.
Only a 5-pin lead right now for John Plante. He is working opposite 2 opens here, and of course John does have the advantage being the higher seed. He'll have the last at bat at the end of the match.
All right, come on, John.
2, 4, 5, and 7. Cluster of 4 in the left-hand corner. That very makeable spare.
And there it is. Big shot right there for John Plante.
Well, that pushes the lead back to 7, as you see him just hitting the 2 and the 5, and 2-pin takes the 4 and 7. Trying to push it into double figures. And he does. the big 9 fill. But watch out. Just when you thought somebody's going to start taking command of the match, we get something like this. It's not an easy spare leave. He's got to hit the wood on the right. Turn it a little bit. No.
Wow.
So Dave Richards dodged a bullet there without making this a double mark for John Plante. Just the 10 box, but 29 pins in those 2 frames will increase the lead to 16, and he was right on the red line. Had to be above it, or actually to the right of it.
Well, Dave will shoot at the 3, 5, and 9. Got to watch out for that wood, though.
Now, the wood may help him if he can avoid it, because he'll keep the 3-pin in play, and that's exactly what happened. Was able to keep the 3-pin in play instead of splitting him going around the 9. Spare in the 7th.
Dan, that is the first time that Dave has marked on lane 32 since the first box of the match.
Could have warned Nick Muskelly. He may end up with only 35 lanes after today. Dave Richards may take 32 with him.
Well, he's got 2 in a row, and he needed them because he trails by 16 heading to the final 4. So now he's put something up there for John Plante to deal with.
He's another one of those bowlers. He just keeps plucking away, keeps coming at you. And John answers with another 9-pin drop, the 2-pin left.
Each bowler with 7 marks as of this moment. And there's number 8 for John Plante.
And one of the bigger ones, because he's facing a double mark by Dave Richards. That was a clutch shot. Now the bonus ball. That looks good, too. A little heavy. 7. He's shot at this a few times, hasn't he? The 3, 6, and 7. He's got a choice here, though. Could play the wood, carry him the ball off the wood, or split the 3, 6. Personally, I'd go after the 3, 6. Oh, like he may be a little indecisive there in between.
Now going to get some pins.
Oh, again.
Wow.
So there's 3 in count. That's going to help Dave Richards. Lead is 12, so Dave Richards is definitely going to need another mark, unless, of course, John was to help him with a bad frame, but can't count on that.
So Dave Richards for his final 2. He's on the head pin again. And look out! Look out! How about that for a strike? It looked like the 5, 7, and 8, and all of a sudden, everything collapsed.
Well, there's the mark that he needed. Now it's a matter of putting another one up, forcing John to get one. Oh, he really pulled that one to the left. And he's telling himself, calm down, you get another ball. That's a strike working.
This actually is kind of a leave that could go if he throws the strike ball on the 1-3. Let's see.
You called it. Oh, he moved the 9.
Wow.
There's Dave's reaction. He likes the 9 on the strike, but he would really like the spare.
Well, John Plante will have to mark once. It's a 9 box for Dave Richards, a 130, and a 3-game total of 345, which means that John Plante must get a 116 to win, so he needs 27 pins in the last 2. So he'll have to throw a mark, and this one will not be easy.
Now, what you have to be also thinking about, that he needs a mark with, say, 7, but he can't afford, you know, a 6 box or an 8 box, because that puts more emphasis on the fill.
So it'll go down, as we figured it might, to the very last box.
Oh, that's a big 10.
That is a big 10, because now he'll need just a mark and a 7 to win. Of course, the mark is the big thing.
Spare 7, spare 6 ties, spare 7 wins. Or mark, I should say, not necessarily spare. And it's not going to be an easy one, but he's had these 3 pins, the 3, the 6, and the 7. If the wood stays there, there's a little margin for error there. He could possibly play inside and have the ball carry him off. But again, he's got to have the 3-pin. Inside.
No. Dave Richards has won it. What a match. Dave Richards coming from 16 pins behind in the last 4 boxes to win the match. John Plante coming very close to getting a win on his first appearance here on Stars and Strikes, but instead, he just misses, losing by 7. 345 to 338. We'll be back with our big bonus ball contest and more in a minute. All right, we're back, and 5th place prize money goes to John Plante, $100. And John, congratulations, and first time here. I know there had to have been a few butterflies at the beginning, but boy, it was just a very funny match. It just seemed like both of you guys really just couldn't get the extra pin when you needed it.
A lot of breaks didn't go either way, you know. Nothing you can do about it. Just try and take advantage.
Well, I know it had been a long time, many years trying before you finally got here. Don't make it so long now before you get back a second time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, John Plante, thanks very much. And now Dave Richards for our bonus ball, $180. Plus a couple of brand new sets of bowling balls on the line, too, from Paramount Industries if we get a match. It's been a long time since we've had a match. Back in November sometime, I believe it was. Maybe even before that. Well, let's see. It'll be a 4. A 4 is the number. Dan reaching deep to see if he can get a 4. Oh, we have a Las Vegas postcard. So this would be appropriate if it were a winner, but it is not, unfortunately, and we'll get that name straightened out, but it is the guess was a 7. I can read that. So it will be not a match, obviously, and we will send a consolation gift, and that means $190 next week. Had them all the way, right? Just slide right in here.
It wasn't easy, I'll tell you. Lane 32 wasn't good to me. At that last, the 9th box, and I threw a strike. I was hurt.
Were you aware that until that last mark toward the end that you hadn't marked on 32 since the first box of the match? It was something we happened to notice back there.
I wasn't aware of it, but I believe you.
Well, next week, of course, you'll be back trying to make it 2 in a row. Larry Valcourt will be here.
Yeah, he's a good bowler. I bowled against him before.
All right, we'll see you then, Dave. Thanks very much. Congratulations. Dave Richards with the win by 7. And here briefly is a look at what's coming up ahead. In case you missed us at the beginning of the show, Larry Valcourt, our number 3 seed, in next week to challenge Dave Richards. Jack Stanek and Dan Broder in the weeks ahead. We've talked about this before. Sometimes when you get a win like that, funny things can happen.
That's right. I mean, the talent that Dave has, if he can get away with a win like this, who knows? He will have to run the table.
All right, don't forget, next weekend here on the Winds of New England, Saturday at noon, it'll be week 2 of our Candlepin Skins format. If you missed it yesterday, be sure and join us next Saturday at noon. And then, of course, Sunday at noon, we're back here, Dave Richards against Larry Valcourt. Until the next time, for Dan Murphy and the whole Winds crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a good week, everybody.